I'm a college student who just moved to the city. I have a daily routine. I attend classes in the morning and work at a coffee shop in the evenings. However, the money I make isn't enough to cover all my expenses in this busy city. So, I occasionally babysit on Friday and Saturday nights to earn extra cash. I actually like spending time with kids from time to time. One Friday evening, a friend called me in a panic. Her regular babysitter had canceled at the last minute, and she needed someone to watch her friend's kids urgently. She knew I often took on babysitting jobs, so she asked if I could help. I hesitated for a moment, thinking about my cozy evening plans, but I felt guilty refusing to help a friend in need. So, I agreed and asked her to give me the details. About an hour later, I parked in front of the family's house. It was a typical suburban home, nestled among other houses on the street. My friend had explained that the parents had to catch an emergency flight, and they were in a hurry as I arrived. They thanked me for helping out and quickly told me what I needed to do. Mainly, feed the kids and make sure they went to bed by 10 p.m. The children, a boy and a girl, seemed smart and well-behaved, which made me feel comfortable with the arrangement. Once the parents left, the evening was calm. I played games with the kids, made them a simple dinner, and read them a bedtime story. They were both tired and soon fell asleep. I quietly left their room and headed to the guest room where I'd be spending the night. I settled down in the guest room, which was a nice place to rest after a busy week of studying and work. It was around 1 a.m. when I started hearing strange sounds coming from the attic above. At first, I thought they were just creaks, the kind you often hear in an old house at night. But the sounds got louder and clearer. I thought I heard heavy things being dragged in the attic, like stuff being moved around. I tried to tell myself it was just the house making noises, and maybe I was letting my imagination run wild. However, the sounds didn't stop, and it made me feel more and more uneasy. I went to the children's room and found them sleeping peacefully in bed. And then I decided to call the mother and ask her if there was something in the attic. I grabbed my phone, and my heart was racing as I thought about calling for help. I found the mother's number and called her. I told her about the weird noises in the attic. At first, she seemed confused, and it made my voice shaky as I explained the dragging and the footsteps. After a tense moment, she assured me that no one should be in the attic, as far as she knew. I could tell she was getting worried as she realized something was wrong. She told me to take the kids out of the house right away and call 911. I followed her urgent instructions, knowing there was no time to waste. I quickly went to the kids' room, woke them up gently, and took them to my car in the driveway. They were still half asleep and confused about why they were suddenly leaving their beds. I comforted them with soothing words, telling them everything would be okay. I put the children in my car and drove away from the house. I called 911, my hands shaking as I explained the situation to the operator. The dispatcher assured me that help was on the way, and I waited in the street until the police arrived. In just a few minutes, police cars arrived with their flashing red and blue lights, making the neighborhood look strange. I felt both relieved and scared as the officers came to the house. The police carefully searched the house, including the attic. I stood outside with my children, my heart still pounding. It felt like a very long time before they came out of the attic, looking serious. The officers had found a man up there who looked disheveled and drunk. He had a history of serious crimes, and the sight of him gave me the creeps. The police arrested him and took him into custody. As I watched the police cars drive away, I couldn't help but think about how a regular night of babysitting had turned into something scary. We went back to bed, and in the morning, the parents were back. The mother hugged me and tipped me for saving her children. It was 2 years ago when something really scary happened, but I remember it like it was yesterday. I was 21 and occasionally looked after kids in my neighborhood. Most of my babysitting jobs were normal, but this one job was different and still scares me today. A mom named Melissa called and asked me to watch her 2 young daughters, Riley and Lily, for the weekend. I said yes because I wanted to earn some extra money. Melissa's house was big and comfy in a quiet area. She showed me around, and everything felt relaxed. The girls were nice, and their home was cozy. The older girl, Riley, was friendly and always carried a spooky doll she called Emily. Emily had strange, glassy eyes and a cracked face, which made her look eerie. Riley spoke to the doll like it was her friend, and that gave me the creeps. The first evening was fine. I made dinner for the girls, read them a bedtime story, and put them to bed. But something about Riley's attachment to the doll made me uneasy. When I tucked her in and pulled the covers up, I felt like someone or something was watching me. It gave me the chills, and I hurried out of the room to get rid of the strange feeling. I went to the living room to watch a movie and tried to forget about the weirdness, but I was surprised to see Emily, the creepy doll, sitting on the couch. Her cold, lifeless eyes were staring at me. It scared me, and I thought Riley might be trying to prank me. I believed it was a joke, so I laughed and put the doll back in Riley's room beside her while she slept. I didn't want to upset the little girl, so I didn't react too strongly, but the uneasy feeling stayed with me, and my heart kept racing. At 1 a.m., the house was really quiet. I was sleeping in the guest room when I suddenly felt something ice cold on my neck. I woke up, turned around, and saw the creepy doll Emily right next to me in the bed. I got really scared, and my heart was pounding. The doll's eyes were staring at me, and its cracked face looked like it was making an evil grin. I screamed and jumped out of the bed. It was so strange because the doll's head turned to follow me, and its eyes seemed to be filled with something really bad. I knew I couldn't stay in that house any longer. I locked the possessed doll in the guest room and woke up Riley and Lily. We quietly left the house and didn't look back. We spent the rest of the night at my apartment, trying to make sense of what had just happened. The next morning, I called Melissa, the girl's mom, and told her I couldn't babysit for them anymore. I didn't want to tell her about the doll because I thought she would think I was crazy. She understood and got another babysitter to pick up the kids from my place. As time went by, I moved on to other babysitting jobs, but I couldn't forget that creepy doll and the scary things that happened in that house. The memory of that night still gives me the chills, and it's something I'll never forget. I'm just a regular 19-year-old living in my small apartment, working my shifts at Walmart to make ends meet. It was that time of year, close to Halloween, when our store was swamped with customers dressed in all kinds of spooky and creative costumes. I had no idea that something traumatizing was going to happen this Halloween. As I went about my regular day, I spotted a guy dressed as a clown hanging around. At first, it seemed harmless. He was in the Walmart store, but it got strange because I kept seeing him when I left work, always at a distance, but I could tell it was the same unsettling clown. It made me really uneasy, and I felt like he might be following me. One day, I even saw him standing near the streetlight close to my apartment. It was more than just a coincidence, and it really started to worry me. Then, with Halloween approaching, I got a last-minute call to babysit for a family I didn't know. They had to leave urgently for another city because of a problem, and I had to take care of their 3 kids. I said yes, thinking it would be a simple job. Little did I know that things would take a dark turn that night. When I got to their house, I put the kids to bed. As I moved around their house, I couldn't help but notice a strange clown-shaped lamp in the parents' bedroom. It was a weird sculpture with a lampshade covering its head, and it gave off a creepy feeling that I couldn't ignore. Trying to lighten the mood, I mentioned it to the mother during a phone call, but her response filled me with a sense of dread that I'd never felt before. As I mentioned the creepy clown lamp to the mother, there was a silence on the other end of the line. Then, with a trembling voice, she replied, "What lamp?" Her tone was a mix of shock and fear that mirrored my own. I gulped, realizing that something was terribly wrong. I quickly gathered my courage and described the lamp in detail, down to the smallest imperfections on the grotesque clown sculpture. There was no way I could be mistaken about it. The thing was impossible to forget. The mother's response sent a chill down my spine. She said, "Listen to me carefully. There is no clown lamp in my room. I want you to stay calm, act normal, and get out of that room as quietly as possible. Take the kids and leave the house immediately." Her words felt like a cold hand gripping my heart, squeezing the breath out of me. I replied to her, trying to keep my voice calm. "Sure, I'll video call you as soon as I reach the children's room." My mind raced to come up with a plan. My immediate priority was to keep those kids safe. I hung up the phone and left the parents' bedroom slowly, as if nothing had happened, although my heart pounded like a drum in my chest. It was a struggle to keep my footsteps quiet as I made my way to the children's room. The room was just as I had left it, and the kids were sound asleep. I quickly woke the kids up and took them down the stairs and straight to my car. As I got into the driver's seat and started the engine, the main door opened, and the clown was running towards me with a knife in his hand. I quickly floored the car and didn't stop until I reached the police station. At the police station, I reported the incident, my voice shaky as I recounted the terrifying encounter. The officers on duty listened attentively, their expressions growing more serious as I described the clown stalker and the mother's strange warning. They assured me they would investigate the matter thoroughly. They immediately pulled up the CCTV footage from the house, and it was chilling to see the clown stalker in his costume holding the knife. The police conducted a thorough search of the area, but there was no trace of the clown stalker. They couldn't find any identification or information about him either. It was as if he disappeared into the shadows, leaving behind only questions and an unshakable sense of dread. We stayed at the police station for the next 5 hours until the parents arrived and took the children. I was scared because the clown was still out there and he might come back for me. But with this trauma, I never babysat for anyone to this day.